Hey YouTubers, you haven't seen me in a very long time. I really do apologize. I am still alive, and I probably look about the same to you, and that's because I am about the same. However, a lot has happened in the past year in my life. I know it's been even longer than that since I did a video, I think over a year and a half or so maybe. Um, there's no way I can even begin to cover all of it in detail in a 10-minute video, so what I'm just going to do is walk you guys through a little bit of a timeline. I may or may not be able to expand on all this stuff in the future, but basically I'm back. I want to start doing videos again. I've been working really hard on my health lately, and I just really want to come back to this community, so I'm hoping you guys will still be around and still have me. So I just want to catch you up a little bit on where I'm coming from and what's been going on. For those of you who have watched all my videos, you may notice a different background, and that's because I have moved. And that's one of the things in the story. So basically the last time you guys heard from me was about the end of January of 2011 when I hit my 100 pounds lost. And I think that put me at 210 pounds. And that was at about 8 months post-op, maybe a little bit more. So basically, since then, here's what has happened. I don't have a whole lot to say between January and June of last year. I was slowly losing and did not care. I just did my thing, and the scale kept going down very gradually. But being the smallest I've really been in my life, I just didn't really care how it went. So basically, come June of last year, I had a friend visit me. We walked a lot while she was here, but I also ate a lot, so I weighed myself when she left just to see where things were, and to my huge surprise, I had hit 198 in Wonderland for the first time in my adult life. That was quite the thrill. It lasted about 2 days, and then I was back up to the 200 to 202 range, where I stayed for a couple of months despite anything that I did. So fast forward a couple months later to August of 2011, I was noticing that I was creeping up just a little bit, weight between 203 and 204 on any given day. Started thinking I needed to try to work harder. Didn't really do too much about it though. Then at the end of August, my mom unfortunately passed away, and it was extremely unexpected and has been one of the most traumatic things I've ever gone through. See, I still get choked up about it, but she had a back surgery, and it was her 8th one. Not her 8th back surgery, but 8th major surgery. And she was just trying so hard to fight with degenerative disc disease, which is what I have as well. And she was trying to take her last-ditch effort at a better life with a full spinal fusion to correct both her scoliosis and her degenerative disc problems. She made it through the surgery fine, but in her 8 days in the hospital had one complication after another, from massive blood loss, a bleed in her pancreas, a lung collapse, and finally a blood clot that caused a heart attack and took her life 8 days post-op. She was 63 years old, and we just didn't see it coming, so it was quite traumatic. The other part of the story there is that for about 2 months prior to her death, my father and I had been looking at houses because we wanted to start a vacation home rental business, and we had decided on one to purchase. So at the time of my mother's death, we were 2 weeks from closing on this property, and we had to make a decision whether or not to go ahead with the deal, which was really hard to do at the time. But because my mom had been so excited about it and about me potentially finding what to do with my future, we decided to go ahead with it. So those 2 weeks were a huge whirlwind with the funeral and friends and family in town and just one thing after another. I should also mention that the night my mother died, My husband and I slept at my dad's house and we never left. That's where I am now. It just seemed like what we had to do. And so all at that time, in those couple of weeks, we were dealing with her death. We were gradually moving ourselves in here, and I was starting this business. We closed on the home. It's in Estes Park, Colorado. We closed on the home September 12th and just threw ourselves into renovating because at that point it had to be done quickly. It was now an expense, and it would be nothing but pure expense until it would start to be rented. So renovations began, and I threw myself into it 100%. Renovations and furnishing and buying everything that was needed, building websites, advertising. We were very, very close by the end of October to being ready, but we had to wait a couple of weeks to have the home painted before we could do all the final touches. And this just so happened to be when we went to Hawaii, and that was kind of threw a wrench in the plans at the time just because we were so busy, but it had been planned 6 months prior because of my husband's father, Neil, who was sick with cancer, and he wanted a family trip back to Hawaii. That was the one thing that he wanted. They had lived there for 10 years and hadn't been back since, which was almost 20 years. So the whole family went to Hawaii, and as a last-minute change after my mom's passing, they actually invited my dad to come along as well, which was really wonderful. And we had 10 beautiful days in Hawaii, which I'm still uploading pictures now because it's been so busy. When we got back from Hawaii, the house was painted, we put the finishing touches, and it was done by Thanksgiving. By early December, I had it online, and we had our first renters by the end of December. Okay, I have to remember, we're talking about weight loss too. So when I got back from Hawaii, I weighed myself, I was 206, which I knew was up a couple of pounds from August, but given how busy I had been and having gone on vacation, I thought, okay, that's not so bad. And I think that might have been an issue because it sort of let me believe that I didn't have to worry that much, that things were kind of going okay without me thinking about it. Then came December, I started working on clearing out the basement at my dad's house of all my childhood things to make room for more of our things. We were living here, but most of our stuff was still in our townhome. And then, of course, the holidays are a busy time. And then we spent all of January, now I had started the business, so I was working constantly with the business. We spent all of January actually moving out of our townhouse, putting all of our furniture in storage, bringing the things we needed here to my dad's basement, and we had to be out of our townhome by the end of January. So January was crazy, crazy. At the beginning of February, I had a friend visit me, and I thought, okay, as soon as she's gone, things will get back to normal. We will start to have a routine again. We are moved. Everything is okay now. We can start to move forward in our lives. My husband lost his job that week. So that was another big surprise that we weren't expecting. The timing was good considering we no longer had rent to pay, but it was another unplanned shock. We are very fortunate he was not out of work for long. Actually, his first interview turned into a job offer, but he didn't start until the beginning of April, so he still had some time off. I spent all of February working out much harder, getting back into it. I was back at Curves. I was working out twice a day a lot by doing, curves and then a walk. And the days that I wasn't at Curves, I was doing some other sort of exercise. The whole month of February went by and I didn't lose a single pound. Then I realized that, okay, this is a whole different ballgame now, and I still do have an advantage. My stomach is a lot smaller than it was before surgery, but I can easily consume a normal amount of calories now, and I have to really do everything it takes to be successful.